we are absolutely committed to helping this demographic, helping our community of sync musicians get their business organized. So you don't have to spend hours and hours doing it. So it isn't that pain at the end of the development cycle. Instead, it's kind of that we're wrapping it up in its little package and it's ready to go. And it's actually not only a lot faster and a lot less chaotic, but actually maybe even a little fun because it's us.
Well, welcome to the podcast today. My special guests are my good friends, Scott and Robina Barker.
Hey.
I'm so glad to have you guys here. And it's been really fun over the last year to watch your progress as you've been doing software development and building a company from nothing out of frustration for no systems for musicians to stay organized and be able to get their music effectively to the music libraries and music supervisors if you're wanting to get their music into TV and film. And I love what you've done.
Oh, yay. Thanks, Jason. Well, having you actually, as a cheerleader and with all of your insight and input has really helped us kind of shape what we're building, as well as all of the other musicians we've been working with. So I'll always be grateful to you for your input on the road. And it's fun to hang out with you now anyways.
Yeah. Well, and what's been so impressive to me, I mean, I think we've known each other for about a year and a half now. We met at a mastermind retreat down in Arizona, which was super fun, but you guys were just barely getting kind of an almost ready to go product at that point.
Yeah.
It kind of worked. And, and I've been through the software development. I mean, I grew a company to, 7 figures and then sold that company. And so you guys, it was fun because I could kind of see myself a little bit in your shoes where you saw the problem. And I think
reliving the glory days.
Right.
Huh?
And as an entrepreneur, I think entrepreneurs are those people that get so frustrated with a problem. They see the problem and they step up and say, you know what, I'm going to fix that thing and take ownership of it. And very few people in the world, I mean, it's kind of we're the crazy 1%ers that decide I'm going to fix that problem and make it better for the world. And that's what you've done for musicians.
Well, okay, you pretty much said the whole podcast. Thanks. It was nice having you here today.
Let's rewind back. So
no.
We did it. We're done. Yeah.
Just to tell people so Scott and Robina have built a tool called TrackStage, and it's essentially supposed to fix all of these broken things that happen for musicians who typically are not organized, not very good at having a system, not very good at having all of everything crossed that needs to be crossed, especially if you're going to try and get your music into film and TV or video.
Absolutely. Game. Yeah. That's the big thing. Yeah. I think, we're as musicians, we're creative. We have muses. Our passion is being in that zone. That brings you alive. And like the last thing you want to do is secretarial administrative stuff. That's a real drag. And I get that completely. The biggest disconnect though is that for musicians that are coming into to try to pursue sync licensing is you may not realize you're actually leaving the music industry. That's not the music industry. You are now entering the film and television industry, and that is a big business. That is business with a capital B, and to be in that business, you have to be a professional. You have to show up with all of your ducks in a row. It's a very fast-paced, very lucrative, very high stakes business. And your music and the quality of your music is secondary in a lot of ways to you actually being able to show up as a professional. Because things move so fast, because the stakes are so high financially, and contracts and all of these things have to be rock solid because it's such a big business, that if you have the best piece of music in the world and you haven't done your due diligence and it screws things up, people's careers go sideways. And so it's so important to show up as a professional right from the get-go. And that's what TrackStage helps people do.
Yeah. And I would only add to that, Jason, that even if you are organized and if you feel like that you've really got things going, you still have to remember that the automation is key here. We've put together the pieces that allow it to function quicker, like that you can get the job done, do the admin, follow business principle, and make sure that it gets done, but it doesn't, not even if it doesn't overwhelm you, you can do it quicker. You can do it more efficiently.
Well, and Robina, you talked about the TV and film industry, and so when I first met you, the one thing that I remember is that you were more of an actor, and I think you were Jasmine in the original. Like, we were going way back into like the VHS
way back,
Aladdin for Disney, right?
Long time ago. Yeah.
So,
So I mean, I was part of Jasmine. Jasmine actually was three different people, or three different entities. You had Linda Larkin, who was the voice, and then you had Mark Henn was the animator who created the character of Jasmine in the movie Aladdin, and who he based it on. What she looked like was like an amalgamation of his sister and some other people. And then there was me. So I was the live action reference. So I acted out the whole movie, and they just drew me. So yeah, that is my claim to fame. It was an amazing experience with, again, really high powered business. Disney is is one of the biggest out there. And so certainly working with that level of professionals and being in that world taught me a lot.
And so I envision this as kind of like from Lord of the Rings. Everybody knows kind of how Gollum, and they had like the little fancy suits on, and this was like way pre Gollum, right?
Oh yeah. You know, it was so high tech. Not literally. I was acting in front of a cardboard wall with masking tape grid. That was how high tech we were back there, and then in the 90s. So it actually, quite frankly, speaks to the brilliance of the animators, what they were able to do with what we would do, our actions, and how they would bring those to life, and not only bring them to life, but elevate them into an animated character. It's just brilliant.
Speaks to the tradition of Disney, as they use live action reference. They have for
always
and decades and decades.
Always,
how they do things. And even with Jungle Book, they use little animals that they would draw in.
So if we rewind the clock even back more, I'm curious for both of you with, I know you've got music backgrounds, but as a kid, were you a piano player, guitar player? How did you end up getting introduced to music? And how did, fast forward to how many years? I don't know how many it's been, but how did you go from there to here?
Too many. Well, actually, I was born into a musical family. Both of my parents were classical violinists. My father in particular was in his heyday, one of the top 4 or 5 Baroque violinists in the world. So certainly really big shoes to fill as far as music was concerned. And I was put into piano lessons, and I just chafed at all of that. I didn't like the theory, and I didn't like the practicing and all of that. Music. I know, right?
You're
and then
kid.
I'm a normal kid. So my parents said, okay, you can quit. So I quit the piano lessons, and instantly fell in love with the piano. As soon as I quit the lessons, I'm spending 3 hours a day down in the studio teaching myself how to play Elton John songs from my little record player, not even a stereo. I got the little plastic thing. It's in a little suitcase, and I'm trying to learn how to play, Funeral for a Friend on this big old Steinway. So it really, my passion was ignited, but it certainly, I never had any illusions that I was going to become a professional musician, because I had these super professional musician parents. And like I said, the shoes were too big. I wanted to do anything but follow in the family business. So I went the other way. I went to acting and stuff, but I always had kept that passion, and I started writing music. And I when I got actually my first Aladdin check, I went out and I bought myself a Roland JV1000 workstation that I still have in my studio to this day. And that's where I've done all of my writing. And so it was interesting to do the acting thing and have it actually feel my quiet passion about writing music and creating. So I started writing all sorts of stuff, but I knew that the stuff I was writing, I was never going to hear on the radio. This was not rock and roll. This was not pop. This was not new age. It wasn't, or new wave, maybe a little new age, but none of it really seemed like it was going to ever fit in the popular realm. So it was like, okay, this is just going to be my little habit. This is going to be, my little passion that I keep in my headphones, and it's my little safe world. And then I discovered, fast forward many businesses I've run and life turns and so on and so forth. A few years ago, I had just sold a business that I had built up, and decided, well, what do I want to do now? And I thought, oh, well, I've got a little bit of free time. Why don't we play with our music? To start playing with our music. Let's get all the music that we've written, and we're gonna get it all notated or whatnot. Discovered DAWs, the digital audio workstation, and my head exploded. And I thought, oh my gosh, look what I can actually do with this. This is amazing. I'm finally writing music and I'm orchestrating it and I'm putting all this stuff together. I'm like, this is an amazing little nice hobby for my headphones. And then I discovered sync music. I discovered that this music that I'm writing, this moody instrumental, music that you never hear on the radio. Oh my gosh, you hear it on TV. You hear it in the movies. You hear this. And that is, I thought, oh my God, could I actually do this? Could I actually make a living do this? And so I started doing all sorts of courses. I did Michael Elsner's course and Chris SD. They were having a group kind of course a few years ago, and I jumped in and I learned all about that. And I think there were 2 or 3 other different courses I was taking to learn all about sync music, learning about stuff like metadata, learning about music supervisors and how to approach them, trying to kind of wrap my head around splits and writes and all of the moving pieces and everything that I had to have kind of together to make this work. I released my first EP. I was so stoked about that. That was, it was a huge step to move out of the headphones into the actual world. And so as I am starting to pursue these, talk to supervisors and start to pursue this line, I realized that I had to get all of my ducks in a row in a big way. This was what I was hearing from the pros that were teaching me. And so I, being the good entrepreneur business person that I've always been, I decided to kind of put things in tools. And so I had spreadsheets and I had, my notebook, and then I had, okay, well, then I needed to have a Survey Monkey for vetting surveys, and I needed to have Dropbox, and I needed to have, oh, well, how was I going to manage the workflow of my projects so that I knew how many tracks I had in progress, and how the heck was I going to manage all this metadata? And then what was I going to use to tag all this metadata? And brain exploded.
You'd start to see how overwhelming the amount of data is.
I was not only overwhelmed with the amount of stuff I needed to know, I was really overwhelmed by just how many tools I had to kind of work together, all these moving pieces that would just, like, this site would handle splits, but this site didn't. This site, I wanted it all in one place.
And most musicians, when you start, probably just checked out, or they're hearing all this, they're like, I just want to write my guitar or my piano music, and like, why can't I just take my music? And I think what's interesting is you kind of came from more of a business organized background a little bit, and I kind of come down that same world. I started in banking, and one of my happiest days of my career was when I maxed out an Excel spreadsheet and it told me I couldn't fill any more fields in. Angels came out, and I was like,
but I can't say that I love the spreadsheet thing. I really can't. Props. Spreadsheets obviously are incredibly powerful, and without a doubt, it's kind of the go-to place. But when you start dealing with all the different pieces of information that you need to have for a single track, those spreadsheets, that's a lot of columns.
And there's no system. I think if you put yourself in the shoes of the music supervisors or these music libraries, these people that are, their job is to try and figure out what music do I put on what scene in whatever TV show or film or whatever it is. And you want to talk overwhelming. And I think what's funny is the way it's been done for years is they get emails with songs. They get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day, and who has time to go through and click on an email and remember? I can't handle the emails I get in a day.
I know, right?
Throw attachments on there or links on there to hope I'm going to remember, oh, that was a really good song. It's kind of a really broken system. And my guess is, you confirm this, but a lot of times if you listen to interviews with composers or these music supervisors, they have their go-to people that they trust, and that's probably
Absolutely.
they go to that little mini world of, you know, a half dozen or a dozen people
Because they can trust it. You said the
Right.
operative word, trust. And the way to build trust with any of these industry professionals is to be able to show up as a professional. So you're going to build trust when you've got a piece of music that is right for that show that you're working on right now, right for that brief that you just put out that sounds like the reference tracks. So you're going to build trust if you give them the right song. You're really going to build trust if you have got all the metadata on those audio files in place, so that it's searchable, so that it's sit in their library, and they're going, you know what, I want something that's avant-garde, and oh, your track shows up because you put that into the keywords. You know, you build trust that way. You build trust by having all of those splits in place, so that if they say, okay, who's got the rights, how do we clear this? You can go, here's the contract, here's the contact information, blah, 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 quick. You break trust entirely the minute that stuff is missing. You break trust.
I think that's a good point to stress again, is that there's trying to find visibility, there's trying to put yourself out there, and then there's being able to respond quickly. I mean, the timelines are always compressed.
Very.
So you've got to be able to do this. You can't be, oh, wait a minute, which spreadsheet was that in, or where's this at? That's a problem if you can't get back to it.
I'll get my co-writer to get that. Okay, give me just a sec. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
So being professional, being timely is another big key factor.
Yeah. So by building that trust, you start to get into that inner circle. So the more times that you show up and you have all of your ducks in a row, the more times you show up and you have kind of shown them by how you show up that you get that they are the priority and what their priorities are, that it's not about your music. It's not about, oh, my music is so good, you got to love my music. No, it's about, okay, you've got a problem to solve, and I'm here to solve it for you, and I'm here to solve it for you really quickly. That's how you get into that inner circle. And sooner or later, the more inner circles that you're in, the sooner you're going to get those placements, and the more placements you're going to get.
Yeah. Well, and so if I rewind back like a year and a half ago when we first met, what I found so interesting is, Robina, you're this kind of bubbly, you know, go-getter, and you've done businesses, and, you know, the acting. I mean, you've got all these talents, and then you've got Scott that secretly has probably more talents, but he's like this quiet software developer guy that watches people's problems and all this. And what's crazy is I've been down the software development path, and it is not easy to do to build a software. And Scott, you're kind of this guy that puts the puzzle together, and you listen to the problems like Robina's. I mean, most people get overwhelmed, and Robina's, you know, spouting all these, well, you have to do this and this and this and this. And Scott's like, okay, I can organize that. I'll put this in this database. And then, you know, like 2 days later, you come back and you're like, yeah, I solved that problem. Here it is.
Well, it gets even better. Sometimes he'll he'll hear like what an existential problem, you know, you have as a musician, and suddenly he'll go, oh, wait a minute. Honey, look what I built.
The genesis of it was, you know, Robina's told this story before where, you know, we talk about the distraction of all the different tools and things, and she's trying to just jam what she wants into a generic
it was
CRM.
The CRM pipe drive. I thought, oh, I can make it all work in there.
Bend it to her will. And that's great, except that they went and made some kind of software update and change. And the next thing you know, her entire process doesn't work anymore.
Boom.
Because
in one day.
She can't use it. She can't transfer from one piece to another. And she came to me and she goes, I need this. This is what I need. And I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds like a viable business platform that we can work on. You've got my interest. So we chatted and talked and chatted. And eventually we decided to move forward on the development. And sure, the key is being able to have a piece that you're not trying to bend to your will, that actually is, you know, specific to this, you know, from a vertical market perspective. And you put into place all of the pain points. We know this. I mean, you know, Robina's said many lifetimes of
pain
businesses.
Oh, no, pain.
And yeah, I love working alongside her from the perspective that we are a team. And Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's really cool is when we first met, you guys had something that was pretty good a year and a half ago. And what was super impressive is you'd kind of taken your pain points, Robina, but I could tell you were actively looking for feedback from other musicians, other users, and what you guys presented in that meeting for an hour, or whatever amount of time it was. I mean, everybody was impressed, but all of a sudden you got all these ideas thrown out with these other musicians there. And I think you guys went back and like threw it in a blender and then spit something back out that was totally different. But it was way better. And that is hard.
Key. Yeah, that is key because you know, I mean, I understand my pain and I wanted to answer my pain, but that's just my individual experience as a sync musician or as a musician pursuing sync. And so right from the get-go, we had a group of other sync musicians who are at varying stages of their career. And we had them as our alpha group, and we had them really kind of, you know, kicking the wheels, and some of the initial ideas that we had just were no, gone. And that really kind of infused the early stages of track stage to kind of where you saw it in action. But then we had beta testers always our actual target market. We didn't just buy beta testers. It was all people who are pursuing sync, who are, you know, moving through this stage of their career. What were their pain points? What did they need? And the amount of input we got was mind-blowing. I mean, things that we didn't even think of, that having the genius of somebody who's feeling that pain point come in and help develop it. That's become a cornerstone of really how we operate. This is the first thing that anybody's going to notice when they crack open track stage, is that it is deep. This is not fluffware. This is not just, oh, we're going to, you know, you're going to figure this out in 5 seconds and you're going to be able to manage your whole business. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. No, that's not the case. However, what you're going to get is you're going to get a very robust, comprehensive tool that has really got all of those little boxes checked, and then you get the support on top of it. So because we are absolutely committed to helping this demographic, helping our community of sync musicians get their business organized, so you don't have to spend hours and hours doing it. So it isn't that pain at the end of the development cycle. Instead, it's kind of that we're wrapping it up in its little package and it's ready to go. And it's actually not only a lot faster and a lot less chaotic, but actually maybe even a little fun because it's us.
Always trying to put some humor in there. She is.
Well, and I think there's some good learning. I mean, a lot of people listening to this podcast are probably thinking, I'm never going to do a software. This is not, you know, I'm not going to build software. But I think there's some learning things that I see. You guys will be successful, number one, because you're listening to what your customers and what people are asking for. You guys are like ultra coachable. And I think there's oftentimes for musicians, we sometimes get, I don't know, married to the idea or that track or the way something sounds. And they think, well, this is mine. And that's great. You love it. But when somebody does offer feedback, oftentimes I don't know that we take the coaching or the feedback as good as we should. And sometimes it's meant with as much love as possible. And maybe it's not even correct feedback, but being able to listen and be like, okay, well, maybe there's a reason why they're suggesting this thing, and be mature enough to step back and look at what your performance is, or whatever your song
you have absolutely hit the nail on the head. And it's a hard lesson that I came to learn. I think a lot of the times when back when I was everything was in my headphones, it was because my music was so precious. It was so special. It was magical. And I'm actually not mocking that. I am dead serious. When we're creating something and we're building that music, it is precious. It is beautiful. It is magic. It's coming from somewhere else, and you're communing with whatever that something else is, and you're using your skills and your talents to give birth to something which is really special. So the most important thing I learned is that, okay, enjoy that phase, nurture that. And the minute you do that final audio mix down, that's over. That is now a product that is a widget that is no longer precious, because the minute you let go of the preciousness of what that is, you will not believe how free you're feeling when you stop feeling this is precious, when this is no longer the greatest piece of music that has ever been written, when you move past that and you're just like, nope, this is now going out into the world and it's going to do its thing and it's going to land here or it's not going to land here. It's no longer precious. It liberated me to a degree that it got me out of my headphones.
So you're saying that there's an analogy between just being teachable or being open.
Precisely.
Is
precisely
knowing that it's a world we all want to be in and want to contribute.
That's exactly it. So when you let go of holding on to that and you can get that feedback from outside, it takes on a new life, and a life that can actually really connect with more people and really serve the community, serve the world in the way you really do want it to. And so that's how we feel about the software as well.
That's awesome. Well, and Scott, I'm curious from a developer software guy's perspective, so this podcast is called the Successful Musician Podcast. I'm curious I don't know, you don't have a ton of music background necessarily, at least I don't think you do, right?
He's got more than he likes to let on.
Oh, really? So I'm curious.
Well, I had musical parents too. It's just that, I don't know, my path just went down the software. I was into vocals, sang for quite some time, even in college. But software is where I started to find my niche. And so but I can tell you this, I like this vertical. I like where we are with TrackStage, because I do get to connect with musicians and the music, and even if they're having some glitch with something, Scott, I get this all, not all the time, but sometimes it'll happen. You say, why isn't this track, this particular field, a data item working the way I thought it would? And I will interact with them. They'll send me the track and I get to play it. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I get really enthusiastic about their music.
Yeah.
The quality of the stuff that's out there.
It is exciting.
A celebratory feeling that I get, just being able to support that and be a part of that. So, and I've had lots of stuff come in, and I'll be playing it. Robina goes, "Ooh, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is so so."
That's so
and we're just like, yeah,
it's cool.
So even
we love our
nerds
artists.
can be excited.
Yeah.
and I enjoy that part of it, though. In all fairness, it's for me. I like the supportive role from that perspective. And yes, people say, they'll say stuff like, well, I'd really like to use my artist pseudonyms. I'm like, artist pseudonyms. Hey,
what about
tell me more?
Go for it.
We have artist pseudonyms.
Yeah, and he'll do it like that when he can. If it's low hanging fruit, it's not. It has happened that people request something and it's in there like within 2 days. When it's low hanging fruit.
And I think it's really cool that you guys are, the independent artist days. I mean, this is like the golden age of being an independent artist. There's, especially when it comes to TV, film. I mean, there's more shows and under development, I think, than there's ever been in the history of TV and film. Because you got every Netflix and Disney Plus, and everybody else is on board.
Down.
Right.
Yeah, the bandwidth has gotten so wide. There's so much content going on.
And there
are more opportunities than ever for artists.
For sure. But the thing that's been so hard is as an independent artist, there wasn't groups out there to really teach how to monetize that or do that. And there's courses popping up all over the place in all industries, which is great. But what it's doing is it's kind of created this whole nother little niche place where musicians can make a really good living, a very respectable career and living now that would have never existed had you not had the one lucky chance to meet whoever was the director or whatever place. And now it's just opened so many doors.
Exactly it. It is, and it's a double-edged sword. Although I actually think this is a fantastic renaissance, because yes, the artists are empowered. They're empowered with their music production, and so now they can create stuff that is at the same level as the stuff that you had to go through all those producers and labels and all the people who held the reins, and that you gave most of your money to. They had to run all of that. before you can do it yourself. The downside to that is that you have to do all the stuff. So where you would have had a manager or a label that takes care of all of the metadata or the packaging or the marketing or even the fan base building for independent artists, and who get the music into the music supervisors, well, now that falls to the musician as well. And not every musician out there has that business mindset. And so this is why TrackStage helps them get into more of, treat their music less as, these precious magical things that they actually are, but put on the business hat, see them as products, and see where those products fit with the right clients.
Right. And I think balance is the key. As a non-musician, I can see it. You need to be a musician, and you need to work on your craft and produce. But in doing so, it's lather, rinse, repeat. You can build that catalog and make it larger and larger. And then as the hits start to come, there's depth in your portfolio. And by having that depth, it just means that monthly income, the annual income, can grow, but you've got to be efficient enough, organized enough, and professional enough, and so that you can still remain a musician. Right. And not spend time jacking around with things that should be able to be done more efficiently.
Right. Well, and I think one of the things that I've been most impressed with is you've built this software tool that allows people to do sync licensing right. But then on top of that, you're teaching, I mean, you go on the back end of your help or support area, and you've got walkthrough videos that essentially gives you, hold your hand, how to do this, to the point where as a musician, I could get in there and I could learn it. And musicians should learn that stuff, but it's still probably not going to be their favorite thing to do, all the legal stuff. But what I think is beautiful about this is you've put the system in place. So maybe that artist can have a manager or a right-hand man, woman, whatever, to help them with that. Or maybe you hire a VA that's,
there's that too. Yeah, you could. Yeah. And this is it. I mean, to be able to have everything kind of, I mean, our model is kind of everything in one place.
Everything in one place.
Yeah. So, I mean, from the moment that you start to compose a song, and you've got, you might have rough lyrics, or, you might have even just, a voice recording of a concept. Yeah. A couple of chords, all of these little things. And then, you take that through the development cycle, where you've got to have, okay, what are the mix settings, and okay, well, which patches did I use, which VSTs, so on and so forth. You have all of these moving pieces, and then once you've got that song finished and baked and ready to go, then you're into a whole other world of, okay, you know what, I've got the spreadsheet how do I manage my stems, my alternates, my cut downs? Okay, how do I get all that metadata through to everyone? How do I make sure that the metadata is right before I send it out? How do I send it out? How do I send it out? How do I write initial email introducing myself? How do I know which tracks to pick for the right opportunities? All of these things. And how do I know when that supervisor or that person has listened to my track or has downloaded my track? Well, so this is kind of all these moving pieces, all of these distractions, now just all in one place. Yeah. So to really ease the mind, and you can just show up confidently that you know where everything is. It's in one place.
Well, and I think one of the areas of opportunity that I think you guys are going to find, whether it's in the next month or two or a year from now, is a lot of these musicians probably want to have somebody to hold their hand and do it with them, or even for them. And so, finding, I know, me personally, I've had a lot of great luck with finding amazing virtual assistants over in other countries. And what's been cool with that is not only they've changed my life so that I can focus on other things, and they've been able to, exponentially increase what I'm able to accomplish in a day.
Without a doubt.
I think, as a musician, I think that's something that you guys probably either need to help make introductions, or there's probably some sort of add-on or upgrade service of like, hey, I've got
one of the
songs.
things we do. Yeah, one of the things we do, I mean, we do offer, well, not everybody can afford to have a VA, do something like this, especially a strapped artist. What we do offer our subscribers, though, is free Trackstage University. So it is 4 live webinars there that occur. We cycle through them every month, so that get you started. So getting all of your tracks from your hard drive connected to Trackstage, and how to start to enter in the critical metadata and so on and so forth. And the next one is like all about the workflow. How do you go from adding new tracks all the way to getting them tagged and pitch ready? Then the third webinar is all about targeting and pitching, finding how to put the opportunities into Trackstage so that you can pick the right tracks, and how you can go ahead and pitch those tracks and track how that's being responded to. Then all the way to licensing, how to mark when you've gotten a forward, or when you've gotten an action, when you've landed a placement.
Yeah, and then attach your deal paperwork to it, and
exactly,
so that everything still is in one place. So you need to refer back to it as as your business grows. Excuse me. So then you just have it there.
Yeah. And then the last webinar of each month cycle, it is a deep dive into the creative module, which is effectively that drag and drop Kanban of your whole development cycle that takes you from concept all the way to release, with tasks and everything, so that it keeps you on track. So all of those help. We will work hand in hand with our users to make sure they're absolutely comfortable and confident in there. And we can, it isn't free, but we can take your tracks, get you all set up, and just hand you back your catalog for you to run with. But that is an extra cost.
I need to do that, I think. So we need to talk more offline. Or at least maybe we can teach some of my VAs how to help, and then we can change, make it easier for everybody.
Oh yeah. Hey, there you go. Yeah, we got some Trackstage specific VAs. There's an opportunity there.
Absolutely. We need to talk more. It's a game changer. I think for anybody who's, feeling overwhelmed, or, whether it's in music or anything, there's such awesome resources. And I know for me, the one that was a game changer was onlinejobs.ph. If you've never heard of it and you think you maybe want to explore VAs, go sign up for that newsletter. And I get nothing for promoting them, but it has been a game changer for me on multiple levels, with music and with other businesses that I'm running. So, awesome. I know we're getting short on time here, but I love what you guys are doing. I know there's a lot of people that need this and didn't even realize that this. What I love is you've got the Trackstage University. You've got a lot of these initial learnings that somebody can do without having to spend hardly any money. There's some really great $1,000 or $2,000, $3,000 courses out there that by all means people should go through. If you're really wanting to get serious in that, you should go through some of those courses, whether it's Michael Elder's or Chris Estes, and there's others.
They're fantastic.
But I think what you've created is kind of a hybrid of what you learned, because you've been through all those programs, like as I have. And you're kind of giving them the cheat sheet.
Effectively, it's the supporting platform to take everything that you learn in those courses and have a place to slot it in and keep it all together. And then it really kind of empowers you to make strategic business decisions around your songs. And I know that sounds like la, 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 to us muses, but if you're in the film industry and you want to succeed in it, you can do this. You can jump into the business mindset. We make it easy to do that.
And don't be too frightened by the depth or whatever it is there. It all makes sense once you've layered it and gone through the courses. And keep in mind, when you sign up, it's a free 1 month trial. So you got a whole month with.
It's essentially a free university. Come through this university. We'll teach you the basics.
Yeah. And you got it.
What's funny is, as I went through those courses, that took a while for some of that stuff to click. And had I at least gotten into my mindset of how a process probably should work, I know I probably would have learned more as I was going through those more expensive courses. So I think you guys have a really good, I don't even want to call it an appetizer, but you've got a lot of good meat and potatoes that people can, that want to figure out the plate. Right.
It's the plate that all those good meat and potatoes can sit on.
Absolutely.
And it'll hold all of that. So it's not just running off on your table. And now we're going down. We're going down.
You can get a taste of it for sure. Come get a taste of it with what you guys are teaching. And then if it's something you're like, okay, I want to do this, or maybe I need to hire somebody to help. I mean, I think you're going to find that you're probably going to need to have people to do more of this work. So there's my sales pitch to have a product you don't have yet that I know is going to be needed for those that have some songs. And you've got
the ones who have the very large catalogs that can certainly serve them, but for people who are just starting out with 20, 30, 50 songs, it certainly is very, very, very doable. And there are a lot of tools that can actually speed the process when you exponentially grow your catalog through cut downs and alternates and stems.
Yeah. So if people want to go learn more, so this isn't supposed to be like a sales pitch for you at all, but I know I wanted to learn. As soon as I heard about what you're doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to figure that out. Where should they go? We'll put the link in the show notes, but it's TrackStage. But what's the website?
It's mytrackstage.com. That's our website where you'll see all about it, and then you can sign up for your free trial right through there. mytrackstage.com.
And I know you've got all kinds of videos that walk you through. So if you're not a techie
on our YouTube, yep. Sure do.
They're fantastic. And I got to tell you, your emails and the trainings that I've gotten from you, I love the emails have humor, and it has a little bit of personality, which is so refreshing sometimes. And I know, Scott, normally the developer person's not the funny guy, but I hear you're quite the funny guy, and probably.
Yeah, I'm the straight man.
Yeah. So
be funny, honey. Go, be funny. Be funny.
Possibly.
So, I mean, even down to the hamster, you don't have cat videos. Maybe you've done some cat videos, but you've got these hamsters dancing on, you've made it fun and feel like it's doable. And that's
a lot of that kind of, thank you. The whole hamster thing came out of all of our beta tests with our sync musicians working with us, is that we were the hamsters running in the wheel, making sure that we got all the stuff done. So the hamster thing kind of stuck.
If not anything else, even if you don't have a lot of music, go sign up to get her hamster emails, because it will at least make you smile. And
you're awesome, Jason. You're the bomb. Thank you.
Well, Robina, we definitely need to, as this develops, I think we need to, I'd love to have you back on the podcast, when this,
would love to,
as this comes about more. But I love that you're teaching people how to do this right. And it works for the small independent musician and helps them get on a better track to be successful, whether they sign with a label, don't sign with a label, or whether they really want to learn the business side or not. It's going to give them the foundation to be successful with, at least if that's a path they would like to explore and learn about. So
without a doubt. And we would love to celebrate people's success as they grow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
that's fun. We do get that. If you do get license signing and things like that, or people listening to music, there's little things that go on the screen.
Scott's put some woohoo in. So yes, we got to celebrate them and yeah.
We're going to have some plaques or some trophy come magically show up when somebody hits the certain amount, or just to celebrate.
Right.
Yes. I mean, that's what's going to be really fun for you guys to kind of be part of that success of people.
Oh, I can't wait for us to go to that, to get there. Yeah. Talking with our users, interfacing with them through the webinars. And it's my favorite part of this, is really connecting with these people. There's so much talent. There's so much beauty in what's happening in this community. And God, I just want to make the E part of this business more fun.
Yeah. It's working, and I know without a doubt people are gonna love what you're doing, and the fact that you're there trying to serve and help and fix a problem that is definitely a pain point, and you're listening, and part of you've lived it and walked those shoes, and you're continuing to walk in that path with your clients. It's gonna make all the difference. So congratulations, and I'm excited to see where you go.
Thank you so much. This is really fun hanging with you.
And so last question I've got for both of you. What's some of the best advice as you look at your music careers? If you can think of, is there one thing of best advice you've gotten over the years from each of you that you think would help the listeners?
For me, it is without a doubt that let go of the precious and celebrate it while you're creating it. And as soon as you have finished, let go of it being precious. Let other people listen to it and have their own experiences with it. and don't let whatever their experience is have really anything to do or say about what your music is. It is perfect in its own place, and you can get more from the world if you let go of it being precious.
Awesome. Scott?
Oh, that's amazing. Wow, I don't have something quite so good. I would just have to say, go for it. There's an opportunity here for just about anyone who makes good music to have it go out there and provide not just financial reward, but emotional reward. And I think that music does make the world go round. So please keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Let's keep swimming.
We can drop the mic with that. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you. And definitely go check out mytrackstage.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
We'll see you.
We'll talk to you later.
Hey, it's Jason here, and I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this episode. Be sure to check out our show notes to learn more about our guest today. And if you'd like to support our podcast, there's a few things that you can do to help us grow. First, if you hit subscribe, it will help ensure that you don't miss a future episode. Second, if you'll share it with your friends on social media or send it via email or message, it helps us spread the word as well. And third, if you'll leave an honest review, it really helps with the algorithms so that other people can find our podcast. Finding success and fulfillment in the music industry is possible, and I look forward to seeing you on our next episode.